Hello everyone and welcome to the channel. I'm Emmanuel, I'm a Boeing 737 pilot and a member of PMDG's tech team. But what does it actually mean being part of the tech team? That's what I'm going to tell you in today's video. There has been a great lot of confusion about what that actually means, most certainly in the comments below my videos. So some people think I'm a PMDG employee, others think that I'm being paid by PMDG to do these videos. Neither of them are true. First of all, being a member of the tech team, what does it mean? I'm sure that many of you are familiar with what it means to be a beta tester, and if you take this a little bit further, and you imagine a beta tester who is well aware of what the target of the product is going to be like, and who is aware of what the product is actually supposed to work like. And that's where the technical team comes into play. The technical team basically is a team of knowledgeable people, like engineers, like pilots flying the plane, and in some cases even test pilots from Boeing or from other airplane manufacturers. So people who know what they are talking about. So you have two teams, the technical team and the beta team. And the technical team is the guys whom the developers turn to in case they need some technical advice. For example, I've read that system ABC should work like this and that from the manuals, not necessarily only the flight crew operations manual, but also some more technical manuals. And then they ask themselves, but so I've read all this, but what exactly does it mean? Does it really work like this? And that's where the tech team then comes into play and tells the developers, well, when I'm flying this airplane, then it works like this, or it works like that. And in many cases, the team can actually also provide photos and videos of things in question. And there is one more point, which is actually really important. And that is the undocumented features of the airplane. So I'll give you an example. In the after landing procedure, you have to turn your MCP speed to 100, which is the lowest selectable speed. Now, in my line training, so after my type rating on my first couple of line flights, one of the line training captains showed me a feature where you turn the right flight director off, you change the MCP altitude, and then you press level change. And that automatically resets the MCP speed from whichever value it has been to 100. And then you turn the left flight director off and continue with the flow. Now, it doesn't work 100% of the time, but I tend to say that in 50% of the cases this works. And it's just a short quality of life shortcut to decrease your workload a little bit. And of course this feature is nowhere documented in any of the manuals. It's not in the AFCOM, it's not in the QRH, it's not in the flight crew training manual. And that's where the technical team starts to play an important role, bringing these kind of inputs. A developer can read 100% of all manuals, he can know 100% of all manuals by heart, but those are nothing without getting the feedback from the people who are actually handling the thing on a day-by-day basis. And that is what technical advisors do. So to recap, we are not employed by PMDG, we are simply flight simmers like you and me, who do happen to have some real-world background on the type in question, or on the scenery in question, since technical advisors are not only used in aircraft development, but also in scenery development and in tool development, and basically in any kind of flight simulator development. So these people are enthusiastic flight simmers like we all are, and we just happen to have that little bit of a background. And that's what we are bringing into the development of add-ons, and that's what any good developer has and is using. Feedback of the real world, people operating whatever the developers are actually working on. Now, be aware, however, that when I'm just saying that all developers should have these technical advisors on hand, not all of them actually do. There is a very common trick in flight simulator marketing that I just want you to be aware of when we are already talking about this subject. And that is a developer who has, for example, a private pilot who's flying at Cessna 150. And now this developer gives, let's say, for example, his private jet add-on to this Cessna 150 pilot and lets him test it. Of course, the Cessna 150 pilot is going to be able to give some feedback on some general logic and probably a little bit more informed feedbacks than somebody who does not have any aviation experience at all. But what's happening now in some flight simulator developers? And just to be 100% clear, PMDG is not one of them. Not. And neither is any of the flight simulator companies I've worked with before. Just in case you happen to know. So, none of those is doing this. But I know there are some doing it. So what they do now is they tell the public, my aircraft add-on has been tested by real pilots. Yes, that's true. No, those real pilots had no clue whatsoever about the type of aircraft in question. But that's a very common marketing trick, to lead people into believing that your aircraft add-on is the perfect add-on. It's been tested by real pilots. Now it might be an Airbus A380 that's been tested by a Cessna 150 pilot, who therefore is not able to give any decent feedback. But nonetheless, it's been tested by a real pilot. Just not a pilot that has any idea about the type in question. Anyway, that's what a good technical team is there for, to provide this kind of feedback, and then the developer is going to implement it in his or her add-on, and then the tech team is going to test it and see how it behaves, gives feedback again, and then we're basically getting into the whole beta testing process already, for which a wider beta team is commonly used. So, we're flight simmers like you and me. We don't get paid by the developers. At least I'm not aware of a single case where somebody is actually, or where somebody on a technical team is actually getting paid from a developer. In some cases, when you're working with big companies, they might be giving you some, let's call it replacement pay, by giving you, for example, free add-ons from their shops. And that's definitely a very nice way to say thank you. And of course, you're getting the product that you have been working on for free. That's, let's say, the basis on which you're working. But then again, that's about all there is to it. So you don't get paid by them, you are not employed by them, and basically you are still completely free in what you're saying and what you can do or cannot do. Of course, most of us have signed a non-disclosure agreement. That goes for myself as well. And what these NDAs bind you to is not to say anything like, the developer this and that has asked me about specific information about this and that feature. For example, let me make up a completely fictional case here. So to be absolutely sure, this has not happened. But let's say, just for example, a developer would ask me, so what does it look like when an engine fails? Can you show me? And then the technical advisor might bring his GoPro to a flight deck and fail an engine. And then, of course, he could provide that feedback and the video to the developer. Now, as said, that's a totally fictional example. And I just have to emphasize that, because I know there will be one guy out there somewhere who is now going to run to some low-cost boulevard media and scream out, "Hey, that pilot flying for that and that airline has just told me that he's brought a GoPro to the flight deck to record an engine failure." No, guys, that's not happened. It's just a fictional case. Alright, so I hope this gives a little bit of clarification as to what being a technical team member actually means. And I hope that some of you are going to have a better understanding now. And if there is anybody who still has some more questions, please put them in the comments below and I will give you the best answers I can. Of course, as said, within the scope of an NDA, so if you want to know, like, so what kind of bugs have you reported, then of course that's something I cannot answer. Alright, thank you very much, and I'm hoping to see you all again soon.